Yeah, so hi guys, so I'm Rohit. I'm co-founder at Facets.cloud. We are a platform engineering product. Do check us out. I'll go straight into my talk. So my talk is not about a project or anything. It is specifically about an incident. And we have all, like if you have worked on Kubernetes long enough, you all have experienced a DNS-based incident at some point, right? But with all incidents, you have something to learn. So hopefully you learn something from this talk, right? So I'll start off with a very simple question. I don't know. Yeah. So I have a service which is named HTTP, Hello World HTTP in the default namespace. So my simple question is, how would I access this service within the Kubernetes cluster? What would be the domain name with which you would access that? If there are volunteers to answer, yeah. So there are several options here. So either if you are within the same namespace, some of you might just simply go with hello world-http. If you are slightly more inclined to allow people to use it from any other namespace, you would see this pattern where they just append the namespace and that be the domain name. And as he astutely pointed out, that a fully qualified domain name is always the better part. So we'll see what are some caveats with each of these options, right? Now, so we'll get to a demo, which is basically throwing a wrench into the whole kubedns system, core DNS system. It's not as complex as you would think. It is just creating a simple service. So I would not touch any existing services. I'll just create one more Kubernetes service, and DNS would go for a toss. Let's see how that works. So believe me when I say that this Ubuntu Sleep Pod is running inside the same Kubernetes cluster as the Hello World service. So I'll just So I have. So this is just a quick check. So it is making a call to each of the DNSs that we had listed in the previous slide. It is all saying hello KCD, all is well, right? Now I go in with the wrench, which is essentially I'm going to create a service. I won't let the cat out of the bag yet. Maybe the smart ones among you can figure out what is wrong with this. Hopefully everyone can see the whole screen there. So I'm doing kubectl create external name service of type external name. Its name is default, and I'm just pointing it at a dummy domain. So no such name dot no such name, right? Yeah, that is created. Now I run my test again. Hello world.http, that works. Hello world.http.default has broken now, and your hello world.http default SVC is still working, and of course the fully qualified domain name still works, right? So what has gone wrong here, right? So something is clearly wrong. It says that I could not resolve the host hello world HTTP. So I'll just use dig. So of course I have to include search domains here, and I'll take a look at the value for this, right? So it says that the answer section strangely says that I asked for the result for hello world-http.default, but in the answer section, it gives me the answer for hello world http.default.svc.cluster.local, and it's a cname to no such name dot no such name, and it's giving a no such domain exception. So what has gone wrong here? So for context, I'll just have etc resolve.conf open. This is something that I hope everyone are aware of, right? So the Kubernetes, to enable these sort of access patterns where you can just mention a service by its service name or service name dot the namespace, what they do is that they increase the n dot set to 5, and so I hope you can read up on n dots. So basically any domain name that has fewer dots than the n dots would actually be first looked up based on these prefixes. So when I tried looking up for hello world-http.default, it first looked for hello world-http.default dot the first name first option in the search list, and it got an answer, and that was what it went with, right? So ideal setting, even in the Linux, the man page for resolve.conf, you would find that you should ideally go with an n.1, but this is a Kubernetes sugar, but there is a caveat, like a simple service creation could, potentially, if it was an actual domain, like I tried with no such domain dot no such domain, but if it was an actual domain, some of your traffic could actually land up with someone else, and it could be an attack vector in itself. So explaining the situation, so unraveling the DNS mystery. So what happened is this service name dot default pattern started returning a CNAME record for the dummy domain that I mapped it to. The key to this mystery lies in the search path used by Kubernetes to resolve the DNS names, so which is this, right? Of course, I forgot to mention the n dot setting of 5. That is also key to this, otherwise this would not have happened. The search path includes the following, which is namespace.svc.cluster.local, svc.cluster.local, and cluster.local. Normally, this would resolve to the service name namespace .svc.cluster.local, but here is a twist, because there is a service named default. The service that matches the namespace name broke the whole thing. Now Kubernetes is trying to resolve the one that I mentioned. I don't want to repeat hello world HTTP again, right? So what's the conclusion here? Start using FQDNs, and if you are an ops person and if you want to encourage everyone to, how do you force people to use FQDNs, right? Just make the non-fully qualified domains not work. So basically you either enforce that n dots is set to 1, basically you can, you have DNS options in your Kubernetes pods to have control over the whole thing setup. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully it's not 7 minutes yet. Thanks guys.